2013, I was just not ready. It was on my time. But 2023, I'm much more prepared for the assignment than I ever was. This period has been one where families have had to struggle for what to eat before you even talk about rent, school fees, and other pressures. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is possibly the most prepared president we have had in this country ever. To make progress, we must work to improve on the existing constitution, not to just chuck it out completely. Yes, I'm an accountant, but I'm also, and I think I can claim it now at last, a politician.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Meet the Lawmaker right here on Democracy Radio 104.9 FM Abuja. My name is Uchu, your humble host, and my guest today is Senator Ede Dafinone. Senator, welcome to Meet the Lawmaker.
Thank you, Uchu.
I'm
very happy to be here.
Thank you for granting us this interview. So I'm going to be starting with a question I believe you've been asked a gazillion times, and it's about your family. Now, your family holds a unique place in the Guinness World Records. Yeah, we're envious of you for the most chartered accountants. And you've had a truly diverse career from finance to heading Nigerian Conservative Foundation. Let's talk about an unconventional lesson that you've learned from any of these roles you've played that you now find it useful in the Senate.
Well, that's a difficult question.
Yeah.
Let me take it from a different angle, possibly. Okay. My family holds the Guinness World Record for having the largest number of chartered accountants qualified with the English Institute of Chartered Accountants in the world.
Okay.
A bigger record, but not recorded, is that 6 of us chartered accountants actually worked in the same office for a period of 2 years without any rank or fighting. Nobody was murdered, nobody was killed. and I say it's a record because if you talk to siblings that have worked together, just maybe 2 siblings that have worked together, they will tell you of fights over money, over success, over failure. And if they survive all of that, if it's 2 boys, their wives will be fighting over something. If it's 2 women, their husbands will. So to go through a period of 2 years where we all worked in the same office, separated because of health and marriage and what, so it wasn't a dissolution of any kind. To work amicably for 2 years, for me, is an even bigger record. And the significance of that really is that we were all of a temperament where we listened to one another, we're able to communicate with each other. And I'd like to say that, and I attribute that to our mother, not a chartered accountant, who brought a stable anchor to the family.
That's quite interesting. And it is a record. So not one fight, one day, not one?
Not one fight.
Wow.
Not one fight.
That's quite interesting. Now, you are an accountant by profession. And I know that with accountancy comes precision. Like literally no mistakes are allowed, or it's best not to make mistakes. Now you are in national politics. Let's talk about your ability to switch between these different hats. How easy was it, or is it?
I compare that really to looking at a science student and an art student. Most people who say they're science students cannot do arts, and vice versa. There are very few people that can manage both environments with the same ease. What I like to tell people is that I went to school.
Okay.
So if you go to school and you're roundly educated, you should be able to cope in every scenario. And when I say school, I don't mean just reading your books and getting A+ or A- or whatever, but going to school of life where you learn to handle all scenarios. And I say that if I look at it from a political angle, I've been involved in elections and politics from 1998. First contested primaries in 2006. And over that journey of the last, 26 odd years, I've experienced some hard lessons, some expensive lessons, but all lessons to prepare me for where I am today. So when people tell me of the systems and styles of deceiving and tricking politicians, I've been tricked, I've been deceived, I've been played, I've been scammed. Yeah, all lessons that lead me to where I am. So I think, yes, I'm an accountant, but I'm also, and I think I can claim it now at last, a politician.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Okay, now let's come back home. You've been recognized as the Ede of Okwe Kingdom, and that's a title that's deeply rooted in service to your people. Now, when you sit in the Senate, is there anything that you can take from your leadership role as a community leader, or rather as a chief of a community, that you carry into the National Assembly in solving national issues in your constituency?
I think if I hadn't occupied those roles in my community with my people, I think I would have had a less exposed understanding of the needs of my people, the thinking of my people, and what drives them and motivates them in order to build a better environment, build a better community. I've occupied various positions, and some I still do actually, especially the ones as trustee. So just to name a few, I'm trustee of the Okpe Leaders of Thought, trustee of Okpe Union, chairman of the Saple Okpe Community Land Trust Association, among another 3 or 4 such positions, some current, some old. But what that means also is that my people also know me. It's not just my late father's name that projects me into politics, but my father pushed me into all these organizations and said, go and sit. Some he said, sit for me. And so I was exposed through that to all sorts of situations and scenarios that I think make me a better person today also. I should say, actually, I first contested election, that is having gone through primaries, actually getting the ticket, in 2013. And my CV between 2013 and 2023 multiplied 10 times over in terms of capacity, experience, outreach. So possibly that 2013, I was just not ready. It was on my time. But 2023, I'm much more prepared for the assignment than I ever was.
So everything kind of aligned for your, stepping into your office in 2023, all the experiences, the expensive mistakes and all of that. Okay, great. Now let's come back to the Senate. What immediate fiscal policy adjustment do you think Nigeria needs to ease the current economic hardship that people are facing? Because it's basically all about the people, whether Senate, whether House of Reps, whether presidency, whether community chief, whatever it is, it's all about the people. Is there something you feel, fiscal policy adjustment, you particularly think we need for us to ease the economic hardship on Nigerians?
I think I would take it a step further, not just all about the people, but all about the economy. Right. So we've gone through a period of about a year and a half of finances being pressured at all levels, but clearly those at the bottom of the ladder financially, they feel it more than everybody else. And this period has been one where families have had to struggle for what to eat, before you even talk about rent, school fees, and other pressures. What a lot of people don't realize is that politicians will definitely feel that. Our constituents have direct lines to us. And so where people can't pay hospital bills, don't have food in their houses, they let us know. And there is none of my colleagues in the Senate that will say that on a daily basis, before he gets out of bed, he has not sent few people some money. And so the message that Nigerians are not having it easy, we are hearing it, we are feeling it here. The good news, the president, when he came in, is said to be responsible for the hard times. But what the president did, and most people will not realize as yet, is that he took the hard decisions that are necessary to put Nigeria back where we should be, back on track. I say, and I don't think many people will argue, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is possibly the most prepared president we have had in this country ever. He comes to the table ready. He's thought through where he's going and he knows what he's going to do. Yes, he has advisors, but he has a mind of his own. He is a professional with enough experience to be able to deal with the issues. So what did he do that brought us to where we are, where the country is going through what is seen as a horrible time? He removed the petrol subsidy. The petrol subsidy, all Nigerians know, was a scheme where a handful of people were benefiting from the subsidy. Yes, Nigerians were enjoying lower petrol prices, but at a huge cost to the nation. He removed the subsidy. He removed the power subsidy as well. The power subsidy meant, again, we were buying power at prices that were not sustainable. The electricity companies were all imploding, and there's a need to readjust those prices. Lastly, and possibly not lastly, but of the significant elements, he removed the subsidy on foreign exchange so that the currency should reflect the real value of what we produce. Those steps he took are starting to show results. The numbers in the last few months show that the economy is turning around. And my feel today is that by Christmas, Nigerians will be saying that the economy is better. Things are getting better. And they can now see that the decisions taken have helped us to get to the right place. Just by way of indicators, market prices have started to come down from the highs of 6 months ago, and they will continue to adjust. The policies now to ensure that we are feeding more people with agricultural products that are grown locally. Government is encouraging that and will continue to do that. So the different policies will come together. Government is strapped for cash, and yes, government has borrowed. But the funding is being directed to the masses and to projects that will serve the masses. The CNG policy is a huge turnaround. Gas that was being flared and wasted, now being redirected to fuel our cars at possibly a third of the prices that we had before. Imagine rolling forward 5 or 10 years, the number of CNG cars that will be on our roads and the fall in the cost of transportation of goods, services, and people that brings about. It will slash the cost of moving significantly. So just a few indicators. But I believe by the time we get to 2027, the pushback that we're seeing in this period will all be gone.
Okay. So in reality, there's the thing where a decision is made by the leadership, and of course the turnaround is not immediate. So the people have to bear it. What do you think can happen between when that decision is made or policy is enforced and the time when it begins to, the turnaround becomes visible? How do you think leadership can manage to, cushion the effect for people? Well, what do you think can be done? Because right now everybody thinks, oh, this was a bad idea, this was a bad idea because it's clamping down on us really hard. But you have projected that in a couple of months, and hopefully by 2027, there will be a complete turnaround and everyone will begin to appreciate it. But what happens between now and then?
The government has tried to take steps to ease the burden on Nigerians. Two clear examples of that would be where cash is actually shared across the country to various people who are in need. And then also grain or rice also being shared. Now, we all know there'll be problems of sharing and it may not always get to the right people, but the effort that government has made to make sure that as much as possible is put into the pipeline to see if it can reach the people who need it most. I think government has tried with that. It might not have worked perfectly, but I don't think there'd be any country where it would work perfectly. And I think in the background to all of this, you have to remember also that there is, and definitely was, a global recession that has been on for a while. The problems we see in Nigeria are not only here. There are very few countries in the world that are not going through a similar pain at the moment and struggling to recover. We hope, and I always say this to everybody, that if the economy is going through a hard time, if everybody on your street is hungry, you don't have to be hungry as well. So if there's a 1% of people that are doing well, shift yourself from the 99 and move to the 1%. There will always be a 1 or 2%. Get yourself out of that wrong segment and move into the right segment. Whatever you need to do to get there.
Okay. Talking about that, the word coming to mind is empowerment, of course, because if someone doesn't have what it takes, they can only wish to be in the 1%. Let's talk about beyond empowerment programs. What do you think is a fundamental shift we need in Nigeria to make young people see a future and the possibility of them thriving in the country and not want to jet out every chance they get?
There are many ways to deal with that. The first that comes to mind is role models. I don't think our young people have enough local role models. We need to let them see that hard work pays, that good work day after day will give you the good things in life. I am one who believes that the young people, people in general, who do the right thing should be rewarded for doing the right thing. There are too many examples of people doing the wrong thing and benefiting, while those who went to school, read their books, their parents sacrificed, are there at home without jobs. So role models is important. I think also the realization that everybody will not get a job at the end of university is also very important. And this is global now, it's not just here. There is a feeling among students, it's like, the American dream or the Nigerian dream that, look, when I finish, I will be a chartered accountant, I will be a banker, I will be a... The world, not just Nigeria again, of 2025 is not about everybody graduating and getting a job. It's more today about people appreciating their own personal skills, finding that skill and using that to create a life for themselves. So empowerment, skill acquisition, training that allows people to find those skills that can feed them is very, very important. I want to add one final thing, and we could go on for ages on it.
Yes.
Agriculture is also important. So one of the things we found in this office when we first got here is that there are some crops that have been identified that you can grow on 2-3 acres of land, not much land, that can feed you and your family. If you plant the right crops and you are fortunate not to have any diseases, storms, fires, etc., which don't happen so often, your 2-3 acres of pepper, tatache, can yield you enough money to gain 200,000-300,000 a month. Now, if we can then spread that so that we have pockets of farmers growing food in their backyards, then we could have a separate industry that goes on where young people plant vegetables over a period, look after them, and then monitor them. Once they're planted, you possibly only need to go to the farm for 1 or 2 hours a day until it's time for harvest. 1 or 2 hours a day, which is not that much. Allows you to go out and do other things, and so it's also something I'm trying to encourage. On the back of also fish farming, something I've always had a passion for. And we did a fish farming training course in April, where we got 100 young people to come and study how they could do a fish tank, put in fingerlings, feed them, grow them, and then go to market. And we've been monitoring those fish farmers, those who didn't sell the equipment at the gate on the way out, which, it happens. We've been monitoring them to know how successful are they. And we're hearing of people that have gone out, borrowed money, and bought another fish tank. They can see the potential, and they're looking at the fish, and they're growing, and they see the business. So monitoring them is also a way of encouraging them. It's also a way of being able to report to those who didn't attend, those who sold the equipment at the gate, that, no, this is a way to feed your family. So different models, and hopefully to bring a wider hope. Lastly, sorry, I said we could talk this all day. The world is changing. You can have a young man in Ororope where he has learned online how to do coding, and he is at such a skill level that he could get hired by Rank Xerox or get hired by Microsoft. Now, to provide our young people with avenues to get those skills, develop them, that is another target we must have. The world is changing. I have a personal theory. I'm going to digress a little bit. I have a personal theory that the borders we see and protect in 2025 will be irrelevant in the next 20 or 30 years. That those physical borders, I mean, where somebody pays tax, where they live, where they work, where they go to school, where they eat, all disappearing. Language is disappearing. I say disappearing. There are softwares that enable you to speak to me in Russian and for me to hear in English, and for me to speak in English and you hear in Russian, which means that in another 5 or 10 years already, I will be able to speak to you in Urhobo and you will answer me in Igbo. And what that means is that the whole world is now one. And with that and physical borders disappearing, there's going to be a massive, this is my personal theory, huh?
Yeah.
Massive change in the way people think, the way they go to school. Education has changed. When I went to school, we were given textbooks. Our job was to memorize as much as possible, get into the exam hall and write as much as possible. Just, vomit it out. If the day after the exam you remember nothing, it doesn't really matter. Now the world has changed. You can open your phone and ask, how do I make a television? and the answer will be with you in a minute. And you can go out and buy the equipment and make that television. So what is the significant change? The young people need to know what question to ask. And if you don't go to school, you don't know the question to ask. You have the tools there that can answer every question, but you don't know what to ask. So the education now must be in training our young people. What do you need to ask? How do you ask it? You don't need to retain all that information anymore. It's like at the stage of our graduation, where exams for some courses allowed you to take your textbooks into the exam hall and freely use all your textbooks. Now, you have 3 hours to answer your paper, and if you don't know what page it is where they've drawn the fish and all the parts of the, you're going to be there going through 6 textbooks looking for the page where they've drawn the fish or the heart or the liver to. You must know what to ask. You must know where the information is.
Okay, that's quite in-depth. Thank you very much for that. Now let's come back to Delta State. You've been a strong voice for the creation of Ethiop State. Beyond just a new boundary, how do you envision this state specifically empowering Urhobo people? Is it just a clamor for a new state because of the fanfare of a new state, or are there particular reasons why you're very vocal about this?
I have to answer with 2 hats.
Okay.
The first hat would be my personal and professional hat, where most enlightened and aware people don't believe states will be created under a civilian democratic regime. States have never been created under democracy. All the states we've had created in this country have been created under military rule.
Yes.
So the likelihood of 1 or more states being created is very low. However, a school of thought says if 1 is to be created, then we all have to put in our application in case more than 1 is created, and they say, well, you didn't put in an application, so you're not getting any. More than that, there are 2 ways to fix a problem. The clamor for creation of states is based on people feeling that government should be closer to them. And so, if we're able to create, for example, only an Urhobo state, then the Urhobo people will have government closer to them. And that argument rings true for a system that isn't working. So in a perfect society, government should allocate resources according to the needs, requirements of the people. And therefore, the need to create states that reflect individual preferences should not be there. However, having created Urhobo or Ethiop state, within the boundaries of the Urhobo or Ethiop state, and this is my personal view, you would have different Urhobo groups, tribes, villages, who feel that they're not getting a good deal. So, for example, only for example again, let me take my tribe within the Urhobo people, the Okwe people, who feel that we are a significant bloc in Urhobo and we are not getting a fair deal. Recall the earlier argument for the Urhobo state. They need their own state in order to get a better share of government. That argument takes you down until I have a personal state in my own compound. Not so. So it doesn't solve the problem unless we look at the real solution where government allocates resources to the people as required. Let me give you the official senator answer now, because while I'm here as an individual, I represent people. And my people feel that, yes, if states are to be created, Yoruba state should be one. That if we're to have an Yoruba state, then we will also have more senators here who are Yoruba, more reps members who are Yoruba. And government will then get closer to the people. More resources will be allocated to the Yoruba people, etc. And that is a huge argument for the Yoruba people to create their own state. Be able to direct the resources within their state and make sure that they're getting a fair share. And there are some merits to that, but the two arguments must be balanced out, and we must look to reason in going forward. So the time, energy, money that is devoted to this search for the golden fleece, it must be measured.
It's quite interesting. I like the balance that you brought to it. So you've spoken as a senator, you've also spoken as an honorable. Thank you very much for that. All right, now let's talk about constitutional review. There have been calls for it over the years. What specific constitutional amendments do you think is most critical? There's the argument that, I mean, the Constitution begins with we the people, and Nigerians say we were not there, I wasn't there, my father wasn't there, so it's not, it shouldn't be binding even after all of these years. But we know that even with the reviews that have been done from time to time, there's still calls for more constitutional review or a complete overhaul. So the question is, what specific amendment or constitutional amendment do you believe is most critical to address the core challenges that we're facing in Nigeria?
I want to start by saying that total review of the Constitution, that we were not there, those are bygone arguments. Okay. And that to make progress, we must work to improve on the existing Constitution, not to just chuck it out completely. Starting afresh completely would create mayhem. And so the best way forward is to amend what is there, with the understanding that to change the Constitution requires so much support at state level and national level that it is very difficult to actually amend the Constitution without having all the troops pulling in one direction. Now, if you ask me the most significant change I would like, the first that came to mind would be the protection of our royal fathers. And this was something my late father also championed. We have situations where an emirate that has existed for 800, 900 years has sitting on the stool an emir, or let us say an Oroje of Okpe Kingdom, sitting on the stool for 40, 50 years, holding the tradition and culture of his people, and encouraging the growth of and development of his economy within his space. And through whatever means possible, a governor is elected to rule over that state where this monarch is. And let's project this particular monarch as an 85-year-old man who's been on the stool for 50, 60 years. Let us also project this potential governor as somebody who's 41 years of age and won the election because he had a lot of money. This young man can remove an 80-plus-year-old man that represents a stool or seat that is 700, 800 years old because he didn't like what he said. I think we need to understand that those monarchies represent so much of our tradition, our heritage, that we should protect them, encourage them as part of our history that needs to be protected. In foreign countries, you have situations where buildings are protected, buildings that were built by architects that are now famous. Nobody can put a pipe, electricity, cables into those buildings. But here we have monarchies that are 200, 500, 800, 1,000 years old that are being, I wouldn't say destroyed, but for want of a better word, bastardized by younger people that have just come to power. It's not right. It's really not right.
Okay. All right, we've talked a lot about Delta State, we've talked about National Assembly. Now let's talk about the man, Ede Dafinone. If you were not an accountant, you were not a senator, what other path, career path, would you have chosen for yourself if you were not any of these things?
Let me give you some perspective.
Okay.
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the politician. I'm the son of my father that was the village. My siblings say that, if you want to go to the village, go to the village. We are going to London, we are going to, you're the village. But out of all my siblings, my mother will tell you that I am the most shy. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm a private person, don't like formality. My staff struggle with me to carry my bag into my office. I don't think it's necessary. I don't believe it is. The bag isn't heavy. I don't need help. There's a famous picture of former Vice President Oshibanjo at an airport in America carrying his own bag. Yeah. I mean, he'd left office at that stage, and that paraphernalia of government is government. It's not you, and you have to understand the difference. And yes, my office requires that I have some security. I have, but not to the stage where I came into this door behind you. And now it's time to leave, and the head won't fit through the door, the stomach can't fit through the, I mean, Okay. So I'm not about that. Yeah. I've not answered the question yet. I would be very happy on a beach somewhere, selling ice cream and drinking pina colada. Yes, I don't need, I work for my children. It's, okay. It's, I tell you a little, very short story I told on camera earlier this week. I was praying for one of my people at an event, and I prayed that the young man who has been very successful, partly through the help and support I've given him, but he's a bright, brilliant man on his own. And the prayer I had for him was that he should be richer than me in his lifetime. Okay. And the point of that prayer is that if from where he is now, and he's fairly wealthy as he is to become richer than Dangote, does it make me poorer? No. Am I competing with him or Alhaji Dangote to be the richest? No. So we all need to know what makes us happy, what drives us, and what we want to achieve in our lives. And the sooner people appreciate that, it's not having more money than your brother or your sister. It's not having more houses. The things that make you happy are much, much simpler. And so you have to appreciate that and know what you want to do with your life. Don't misunderstand me. We all need money. Yes. Children, school fees, food, and yes. But it must get to a certain level where you say that the more money you have will not bring you more happiness. And sometimes helping others can bring more happiness than actually buying more cars, planes, houses, whatever. And so the importance of giving back comes into that.
Okay. So would it be career path where there'll be money, but you're freer, there's no protocol, there's no unnecessary formalities, but there's money?
I
don't know
would
what
want
that is
to
though, but
exactly. I would want to qualify that to say
yeah.
not necessarily money, but
Okay.
comfort.
Okay.
So a lot of money may not make you comfortable,
Oh, true. Sure.
but what you want in your life is to be comfortable.
So, still learning a bit more about you beyond the spotlight. Can you tell us what music you're currently listening to that people who don't know you beyond the office will be surprised? What's your playlist like right now?
My favorite playlist at the moment is a mix of Spanish and yes, I know, yes. Well, you know, you listen to all sorts of things, and you latch on to something for a while, and yes. So I can't tell you the artist. I have to look at the playlist, but I have a range of Latin American music that I'm really into at the moment.
Interesting. Does it change for you from time to time?
Yes, yes, of course.
Oh, okay.
Of
So
course.
for now, Latin American music. All right. Final question: if you had a magic wand, we're just building castles in the air. If you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in Nigeria right now, what would it be? Just one thing, one major thing that would spur up, into other things. What would it be?
If every wealthy Nigerian was to invest his wealth within the shores of the country, that would create an economic boom of unimaginable proportions. We have so much money that is Nigerians are hiding, whether within the country or outside the country. And we heard, I think it was 3-4 years ago, of containers of money being found with the notes being destroyed. I mean, if you think about what some of those people did to get that money, and really, was it worth it? If all that money could be invested in factories, in schools, free education, free healthcare, we would be a much happier people, and so much better for it. I want to, and you can see you're trying to close me, but
no, I was trying to actually ask the question.
No, let me go here first. If you travel around Africa, Nigerians are the most industrious Africans you will find by miles. By miles. You can drop a Nigerian in the middle of nowhere and go back 1 year and see if he's not running things back there. I mean, we will survive in any, he'll be speaking the language, he's married 2 wives or 3 wives, whatever it is that he's allowed within that environment, running a good business. We have an incredible potential that we've not started to understand. The value of our people in terms of what we can achieve is many times more the oil resource that we have. Many times.
So what I wanted to ask earlier was more like a follow-up question. Do we really need a magic wand for what you just talked about to happen? For people to invest here rather than stash the money away in foreign banks or hide it away to deteriorate over time? Do we need a magic wand for that? Or
a small magic wand.
Just a small magic wand.
It's doable, and I actually thought about it for a while at a time, where government makes an announcement and says, this is me thinking in a dark corner in my room, it says that every Nigerian who has amassed wealth illegally is allowed to make it clean by disclosing the money. You can bring it back. You don't need to hide it any longer. You don't have to bury it. Just disclose it. You will not be prosecuted. You will not be jailed. Your punishment is that you cannot be a director in any company and you cannot hold any government position. But that money, having brought it back, you must now invest it in the factories, etc.
Okay.
You know, what you have to appreciate is in hiding the money, people lose 20, 30, 40, 50% of the money that is being hidden, sometimes nearly all of it. And the hiding of the money makes the people unable to spend it, unable to show it, and you know, life is not the same as if you can openly display and your house is magnificent. You know, so against the backdrop that we are a developing economy and that all economies have gone through this phase where people made a lot of illegal money and they made it clean over time. We can shortcut that process by just declaring that. Come out and say, yeah, people will be embarrassed, but it will save them a whole heap of pain, knowing that they don't need to worry about anybody chasing them at night or discovering, you know, it's my petty theory, please.
That's an interesting point of view, but who knows, it just might work. Thank you so much, Senator Ede Dafinone, for your time. It's been quite an interesting conversation, you know, having your take on some of these issues that we have discussed today, and also having a little bit of a glimpse into you outside of the Senate. You know, in that corner in your room. All right, before we leave, I would like to ask if there's anything else you want to say, maybe to Nigerians, Nigerian youth, generally, or to your constituency.
To assure them that things will get better. It's taken a bit of time and a lot of people have gone through a lot of pain, but that government is hearing, is seeing, and is doing something about it to make things better. It's not long to go. They should just hold on and know that it will get better generally everywhere.
All right, it will get better generally everywhere. Thank you so much, Senator Ede, representing Delta Central. Thank you for your time, and that's so much we can take on today's episode of Meet the Lawmaker. My name is Uchu. Catch you some other time.